So here I knew that I wanted to bring back the Comic-Con joke, but I realized, holy crap, I'm on episode 20, and the last time I mentioned this joke was, I don't know, episode 2 or 3, so I had to do another previously on bit to remind everybody, hey, remember that whole Comic-Con thing? It's funny. And then, you know, I got to revisit this scene again, which became another function of these previously on bits, is if there was something in a previous episode that was a good opportunity for a joke that I kind of missed, they gave me a good reason to go back and do that. But I think this is one of the few times in Berserk Abridged in which I really messed with the order of events in the episode. Normally I'd follow each episode pretty chronologically and do each scene in order, but in this one I kind of swapped things up a little. I think it actually showed this stuff to you in chronological order in the episode, where he goes to the tournament, then goes to Goto's, and here I turned it into a flashback. Don't know why that's interesting, but it is. I had so much fun with this, trying to think of who was the least likely person to be able to cosplay as this giant black dude, Minister Foss. God, if you've ever hung around Final Fantasy fandom too long, sooner or later, or gone to cons for that matter, sooner or later you run into that one guy who just won't shut up about his crappy fanfiction. But, you know, no offense, because I'm that guy who won't shut up about his crappy bridge series at cons, so, you know, we all put up with each other. I was the best man at your son's wedding. They named me Little I had so much fun doing Goto's voice and just with his character in general. I was always sad that he's only in this one episode. I really would have liked to have brought him back, because, you know, crazy senile old men are just so much fun. And also the voice, by the way, was just a total ripoff of of the third Hokage from Naruto Abridged, who sounds nothing like Kame from Dragon Ball Z Abridged. No similarity there whatsoever. Shut up! It's original! This is totally different! I had no idea what to do with this little girl voice, and so I made it so annoying. What's money? Oh god, I hate that voice. I was glad she never came back. She was annoying. And then I have this this scene with where he's doing some blacksmithing. You know, once again, one of those little editing things that nobody but me notices. But this is one of the few times up to this point that I used any kind of sound effects at all. I usually relied entirely on dialogue and music to keep things interesting audibly. But here I needed to actually get off my lazy ass and hunt down some sound effects to edit them in there, which did come in handy later, having figured out how to handle that a little bit.
What you ought to do is train and train until you're better than anybody could realistically ever need to be. Unless the world should suddenly be overrun by horrible demons, of course. But what are the chances of that happening?
I love tossing crap like that in. And the montage song, which got this episode taken down, because whichever record label owns the rights to the Team America soundtrack got pissed about it. So I had to re-record it, had to run it through a voice fader, and then sing it myself, which I guess was enough to spoof whatever program YouTube is using to identify copyrighted music. And such a great song. I mean, fucking A. I love songs like this that take a trope and just or, you know, what's actually happening and just acknowledge it flat out there. Snuck a little more Star Trek in there. But for the record, you know, I have, you know, nothing but the utmost respect for copyright and the right of artists to be able to control their own work and yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, let's face it, dude, does anybody really listen to the 15 seconds of montage that I use there instead of buying the Team America soundtrack? Seriously. It's not like I was cannibalizing their sales or anything. And, oh god, how I love this scene. This was so much fun. This was one of the other scenes that I had written out in advance for a long time. I think, you know, it really took me like 20 episodes to really develop the characters to the point where I could have a scene like this that's just totally character-driven. You know, has ultimately nothing to do with the plot, but it's it just wrote itself. It was just the characters saying what the characters would say, which is just fantastic. You know, just so easy for me. No effort whatsoever involved in writing this crap. Or, I guess, the effort that I put in developing the characters up to this point paid off, to put it another way, I guess. This was also one of the... later in the series from here on, I have more and more scenes like this with Casca, where I have to try and play it very straight and kind of dramatic and get some actual emotion out of there. Which was such a pain in the ass with that horrible voice of hers. Oh well.
Wait, friend? Oh shit! I'm in the friend box!
Poor Judo. We love you, Judo. This was one of the scenes, too, that I actually, you know, not only, like, had the idea for the scene in advance, but actually wrote out a script. I can say this now, because I've switched jobs, but I actually wrote this portion of the script while I was on the clock at the job that I was at the time. I don't think anybody I work with watches the crap that I make online, but... you know, just to be sure. But yes, I had a horrible, boring job at this point, which I hated, and so every chance that I got, I'd plug my little USB key into the computer there and tap away some Berserk script. Alright, see you next time.